today introduce themselves. Our recording has started. And so to start with, I was going to ask each youth to introduce your name and either what town or school you're joining from. Addie, would you like to start us off?
My name is Addie Cook, and I'm from Laramie, Wyoming.
Thank you, Addie. I'd like to move on and ask Gracie, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Gracie Wolf, and I'm from Powell.
Thank you for joining us, Gracie. Okay, I'm having a hard time seeing.
Good. So I think Gracie's got a couple of people with her.
Okay,
Yeah.
are they perfect? Thank you. That works. Who's with you, Gracie?
I'm Nalani. I'm also from Powell.
I'm Maya, and I'm also from Powell too.
Perfect. Thank you all for joining us. And then we should have Gabby, you can correct me if I'm wrong. One more student joining us.
Do we have any other students that are not on video currently? There we go.
So we have Addie, Gracie. Oh, there she is. Okay.
And Natalie.
I'm Natalie Black from Powell High School.
Hi, Natalie. Thank you for joining us. Perfect. All right. I think that is everyone. Please correct me if I'm wrong, if there are any more students that were able to join us last minute that planned this with Gabby. Otherwise, I'm going to turn it over to our moderators to jump off with asking you all about the short video we just watched.
Awesome. Well, thank you all very, very, very much for joining us. I'm excited to hear what the kids have to say. I think we're having a lot of conversation about mental health across the state right now, but I think we frequently forget to ask our youth what they think. And so I'm looking forward to what you guys have to say. My name is Brittany, again, for your benefit. And one of the things I wanted to throw out there is I will ask some questions and I may ask individuals to respond. If you are not comfortable, you're more than welcome to pass. That's not an issue in my world, and I think for Ryan either. So I'm going to start off. I just want to know what you all thought of the video and the different things it talked about as far as social media and mental health. Gracie, you look like you might have something.
So after watching that video, it just really further made me understand the impact that social media has on everyone's everyday lives, especially in our current system. I mean, those things I already kind of knew that, obviously using social media too much can be a damaging thing to your mental health, but also it was just really interesting to see how it can increase your loneliness. And I just feel like we never think about it from that perspective sometimes. And so it was just interesting to see it from a different perspective like that.
Okay. Others with you or Natalie, thoughts? Addie?
I've definitely noticed how sometimes I'll be talking to someone and they pull out their phone. And so that addiction definitely is a thing that a lot of high schoolers do face. Just being unable to put it down.
And I think it's really interesting that normally we think of social media as connecting people, and it actually can have the opposite effect.
So did any of you move your phone when she's like, if it's in view? And I'm like, I'm going to put mine over here now where I can't see it. Okay, others?
I think the video made me realize how much of an impact social media has that we just don't realize. And it's not only on us, but it's on everyone around us.
Absolutely. Okay. Ryan, you want to follow up?
Sure. Same as everybody else here, I wanted to thank all of you for joining us. Everybody's come out of some very difficult times with COVID, and everybody has their own personal experiences. And as a counselor, we're obviously seeing increases in mental health concerns, depression, anxiety, social pressures. Just there's a lot going on for young people today, inside and outside of school. So my question starts off with, what makes the 5 or 6 of you that have joined us feel so comfortable about talking about mental health and social media?
Chris has notes.
It is a really hard question, but Natalie, what do you think? Or Gracie, or
Yeah,
one
go.
of you?
Go ahead.
Sorry. Well, basically, I was just gonna say that it makes me feel open to talk about it, just because the mental health community is generally really welcoming, and mental health shouldn't be seen as like something that's wrong with you or a bad thing. It's just something that probably needs just a little more help, and that's okay. And with our society, obviously, depending a lot on social media, there's a big uprising in the need for mental health people. And so, and everyone struggles. I struggle myself, and it's a common thing, and everyone just deserves to be happy with their mental health. So it's like, if we bring awareness to it, then obviously there needs to be some people that are comfortable enough to talk about it to solve it. Help.
Addie, Natalie, anybody?
I think I'm mostly more comfortable talking about it because it's always been a topic that has been open in our house. Like, I have a lot of family members that struggle with mental health, and we've like experienced a lot of deaths related to mental health. And so I'm comfortable sharing like my experience or talking about it, just because it's never been something that I felt like ashamed to talk about, like in our family.
And that's
Kinda
awesome,
similar
because
to
the
Addie.
more, or go ahead,
Oh,
Natalie.
sorry, you can go.
Well, the more that you guys advocate for being able to discuss what you're going through, or what you see your friends going through, or family going through, the more likely they are to be able to get the help or move beyond some of those concerns. So it's awesome to hear you guys advocate for this type of openness. It's amazing. So, Natalie, did you have a comment?
Yeah, just mostly that, kind of similar to Addie. It's a topic in our house that we discuss a lot, and making sure to use the media and any other online things without going overboard, and speaking out when you have something that you need to talk about.
It's awesome.
So I'd like to follow up with that question about you. If you're having conversations, or you're having conversations about how social media, yes, I will circle back to Michelle here in just a minute. When you're thinking about all of these things together and how it impacts mental health, what do you think are the pros for you in using social media currently, and how is it helping you? And what do you think are the negative things? I know I I have some teenagers. I also have work with a variety of kids, and I know they all will tell you that it's not always a good thing. So tell me a little more about how it's personally impacting you. We saw the video. Looks like the girls from Powell maybe had the group from Powell.
You want to go, or do you want me to go?
You go.
I'll go. So some of the pros that I have for social media is just because, like I said again, it's just a big part of our world today. And so using it to communicate with people that might not live as close to you is a good thing. And also, like, spreading awareness for various things can be something that people use their platform for on social media. But some of the cons that I have is everything is fake on social media. It is. The beauty and lifestyle standards are just high and fake, unobtainable for normal people. I mean, not normal, but like whatever. And also bullying on social media. There's a lot of cyberbullying in today's world, and like, I even have seen it, and it's too common.
Grace, how do you deal with the cyberbullying? I think from my experience, everybody has either seen it or dealt with it directly. Are there things that you all are doing to deal with that?
I mean, like in our actual school, there isn't a lot that I can really do because it doesn't happen as much in our school, but so there's not a lot that I can personally go out and do to stop it. But like personally dealing with it, having some people say insults like that to me, it's just something that I ignore. It's something that I probably wouldn't fire back at because especially arguing through the phone is a lot easier to say things that maybe you wouldn't say to a person in real life. So usually just ignoring it is the best approach that I would take dealing with cyberbullying, and having dealt with it, it's just probably ignoring it, not responding back to it.
And especially if if you know somebody that's dealing with it, just letting them know that you support them in it,
Mm-hmm.
and that it's not their fault, and the people that are saying that stuff to them has no right to say that.
And it's just you and all your friends can go and block the account doing that, report the account that's coming at any of you guys. And it's like, that's not going to take care of it all the time, but it can definitely help. And there's like features that you can press, like block this account and all further accounts that they may make. And that's a cool feature. So you can really get rid of that person if they are coming back to cause you trouble multiple times, you know?
Okay. Addie or Natalie, do you have any thoughts on either dealing with the cyberbullying or the benefits or cons of the social media for you?
Most of the information I have on social media comes from friends and acquaintances because I actually don't really have any social media accounts of my own, but it's more just knowing how I've seen it affect other people and what advice I've given them with my limited knowledge.
I think the biggest negative for social media is that it really like impacts you. Like if something's going on your phone, like something negative, or you're arguing with somebody, even though they could be even in like a different part of the world, like you would never know. But it's impacting you and the people who are like in person with you. And you could never know that you're impacting your family members just because you're experiencing something that isn't even in the room with you. Brittany, can you hear Addie okay?
Yeah, it's better. She, at the very first time she spoke, she was a little hard to hear, but it's
Okay.
better now.
Right, thanks.
Okay. Ryan, you're muted.
I'm old, sorry, ladies. What are some of the ways that social media impacts your mood and overall mental health? What do you notice, and how long are you spending typically on social media in a given day?
Can I talk?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So the impact of social media on my personal mood is like, it just makes me feel bad about like my looks or my likes or how many followers I have, which, like I said, is like, it's impossible. Like beauty standards, all of that stuff is just impossible to reach. And like, I don't remember who said it earlier, but phone addiction is real and social media addiction is real. And so I can just see how those addictions with like when I go long times without it, I go through some type of manic episode like that, you know? And so it's just, it's a difficult cycle, I think.
It really depends on like what I see on social media. Like if I see something funny, I'm like in a good mood. But if I see something bad, it makes me feel like really insecure, and I just like kind of want to be done. And I just, yeah.
I think it's good in small doses. And it can make you feel happy for other people that they're having a good time, but it could also bring negative effects as well. So I think it's just a kind of a balance thing.
Agreed.
So how many hours do you typically spend? Because I know you guys can track your amount of time online, right? What would you say your average is? What does your phone tell you your average is?
My phone average, Crap, what's your guys's? You say it first.
Mine's 30 minutes, I think.
Gracie, you must be like 5 times that. Is that what you're?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
5 times. Mine's about 6.5 hours.
What?
I know, it's bad. I told
Wait,
you.
in a day or?
Yeah.
In a day.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you
Mine's
guys
like-
have brought up a really good point, though, is you're seeing a significant number of funny, positive, negative images, responses, messages, right? Now, I would think in watching my kids who are almost your age and older, but the amount of time watching, I think it's Snap or Instagram and responding constantly or taking a photo or posting, there's got to be a pressure within that. I would think if you're spending 5 or 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
How do you regulate it to 30 minutes? How are you keeping?
I normally
kind
set
of-
a timer, and by the time like when my stress kind of goes up, or I do a lot of things, so I have to find balance in my life normally. And it'll be like 30 minutes to an hour, but then I just tell myself I need to cut off. I'll set timers or do whatever I need to just to
Right.
not be on there forever.
Because if you look at it, beyond going to school and playing sports or being in choir, whatever those type of activities, what else would you do for 5 or 6 hours? It's a lot of time, right?
Go on your
Yeah.
It's
phone.
almost a full-time job, Gracie.
I know.
We got it.
I know.
That's a lot, right? Do
It
you
is a
feel
lot.
pressured?
Yeah, I feel a lot of pressure. It's just like I said, like there I how do I say it? I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of
Right.
people that I
Sure.
talk to in a day on my phone. And so it's
Right.
really easy to get caught up in that. And then, TikTok is pretty distracting.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Say, I can spend lots of death spiral in TikTok. I am sure you all can too.
I'm saying.
Addie, did you have some additional thoughts on how you regulate your time?
Yeah, I think a lot of the time when I'm using social media, I'm not necessarily just like mindlessly scrolling. Like most of it is like talking to people. But I do also have like a really high screen time, like probably 5 or 6 hours. And I don't like it. I would want to reduce it, but I think it's just so hard to like remember how much you're actually on your phone and like regulate it.
Natalie, did you have thoughts on your time?
I do sometimes have my death spiral moments where I spend forever. And the big thing is
Whoa.
trying to set a timer for yourself so when it goes off, almost like shocking you out and reminding you that you have A, B, and C to get done before a certain time.
So my question kind of builds on that is, okay, so you're trying to regulate your time, you're having conversations with all your different people, all these different things. We talked earlier that there's both positive things to social media and then there's these sort of negative things like that Gracie brought up. It's this beauty standards and sort of this bad news kind of things and all the different things that we can see on TikTok come up over and over and over again. How do you make sure you're paying attention to what you're doing in a positive way? How are you regulating what you're watching, who you're talking to, and what kinds of things you're involving yourself in on social media? Go ahead. Gracie, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Basically, the way that I balance the positive and the negatives is obviously I remember that it's all fake because it is. And it's just, you just have to keep that in the back of your mind that it's not real. And it's like, it helps to try and surround yourself with positive influencers on TikTok and I didn't mean on TikTok, on social media. And use your platform to watch and spread positive videos and affirmations. And like the video said, I wrote down that you need to unfollow people that make you feel bad. You need to unfollow people that are gonna, affect your mood in a negative way. And you can just balance your life better by doing that, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that's great. Anybody else have thoughts on how they're balancing that positive and negative and making sure they're not getting sucked down that negative rabbit hole?
If I like see something negative, I scroll like really fast past it, like because it just makes me have a bad mood, and I don't like to be in bad moods because then like my parents are grumpy at me because I've spent too much time on social media. So I feel like it's really hard to balance the aspects, but like just like setting goals to not spend too much time helps like your balancing, I feel like.
When I come across something negative on social media, I try to really like take a break and just like go do something else or go like hang out with friends or something. And just like realizing that you need a break, that is really important to like make sure that you're like regulating your time and making sure that you're using social media for its positives and not its negatives.
Okay. I'm gonna do it. Go ahead, Natalie.
I know there's like all sorts of things that you can use to like filter what you get. And I know that sometimes parents can set those too. So you can ask your parents to block certain things that you don't want to be seeing, to try and limit the negative, unfortunate things that you do not want to see.
Absolutely. We had a kind of a follow-up question here that I'm going to go ahead and ask. And just to be real clear, I probably spend more time on my phone than the 6.5 hours any of you have. So good work, by the way. How much of your time do you feel like is at school, or how much do you think is allowed at school? Do you all have restrictions? What is social media? What does that look like for you in an academic setting?
Individual teachers have phone restrictions, and I feel like those classes are a little bit better, maybe, just because I'm not as tempted to go out on it because I know that Mrs. Bennett is going to snatch it up if she catches me. So,
Job there, Candy. How about Addie, or other thoughts on how much of your online time or social media time is at school?
My school has like different signs in each classroom. So there's red zone, which is like absolutely no phone use. And then there's a yellow zone, which is you can use your phone for academic purposes. And then there's a green zone, which is like you can be on your phone. And I don't know how many kids actually follow the like signs, but they're definitely there. And then like certain teachers put even stricter rules. Like I have one teacher who, if your phone is on your desk, then he takes it for the rest of class. So.
Okay. All right.
A lot of the teachers, at least for the classes that I have little like phone pocket holders that if they know that you're going to be on your phone, if they have a student that repeatedly is on their phone, or if they have a test or quiz, that they make everyone put them in there so that you can't even go get your phone if you wanted to.
I do like being able to use my phone for positive things. Like sometimes I need to look up information on my phone or submit assignments, etc. Just sometimes it's a good thing, but most of my classmates, and myself included, sometimes we don't use it for the best way that we should.
All right, we'll move on to the next question. And, as a parent, I appreciate all the information you guys are given. But obviously with phones, it's kind of become a fairly private matter. You guys have them in your back pockets, your backpacks, you walk around. Most of us believe that most people are doing good or positive things, right? So if, I'm at Gracie's school and I see her on it, I'm not thinking that she's stirring it or dealing with anything. She's just looking at one of the 10 apps that a teenager would typically have, or it's hard for adults, parents, counselors, people that care to know exactly what you're going through, because if you're like my son or my daughter, you're flipping through TikTok and Snap and Instagram and maybe back to some text, and it doesn't appear to be anything significant. And every once in a while, You know, like you ladies were talking about, it's funny. There's a funny video, so you're laughing, but it can be very hard for us to tell when or if something is serious. So the question is how can parents or caregivers and educators support young people navigating the impact of social media on your mental health? And then most of you probably have had a phone for a while, but I also wonder, at what age do you think a young person should have a phone with all these capabilities?
Like
Because
when you're like
that's
going
not
into the
mine.
summer of
Thinking.
I feel like it really depends on everything they're doing and how restricted the phone is. Because, yeah, sorry, you go.
I was gonna say I definitely agree because I know that I got my phone when I started doing sports. So like when I needed a ride home, and so that's like about 6th or 7th grade. I was thinking when you're at least old enough to be responsible with it, but also I guess the exposure to social media depends on the parents' perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
What are the most common apps that you're using though? Which ones are you spending the most time on?
TikTok.
Did the three of you have any thoughts on what parents or educators or people that or adults in your life can do to help you?
Like your mental health.
Well, and help navigating that social media and the mental health. You know, because the minute I bring up social media, my children are like, "Yep, nope, we're not talking about this," and walk away. I don't know that that's helpful.
I was just thinking that adults should be more open about it because I know that there's a large negative kind of persona put around social media, which obviously is understandable. But like you said, how your kids like say, no, let's not talk about this. But parents should just be open to learning about it and understanding it because obviously the younger generation knows more about it. And so if adults are more open to learning about it and maybe using it in a positive way to parent or teach whatever they're doing, then that can help the younger generation be surrounded by positive things on social media. And I also just said to just raise and teach your kids, whoever, to just be kind and that remind them that their beauty comes from their character and not what they see on social media, because surrounding yourself with positive like affirmations is gonna affect their day a lot better, because if they're looking for the good in social media, they're gonna find it. If they're looking for the good in those kinds of things, they're gonna find it.
I think a good age to get a phone would be like 6th or 7th grade, like middle school, you're getting more responsibilities. But social media, I didn't get social media until I was in 8th grade, and I thought it was a good time because like for us, that's right before high school. And I think a lot of adults don't realize how much social media impacts your social life. Like there's a lot of people that don't have social media that feel out of the loop a lot of time, or they just don't get the same connections that everyone else does. And obviously that comes with some negatives, but it also just like it's a big part of your social life, even though it's not in person.
So how would you know if social media was starting to affect your mental health, your mood? What do you think you would recognize? And if you did recognize it, what would you do?
I think I realize it like after I get off. I don't realize that it's affecting it while I'm on it because you know, you can get sucked into scrolling. But like after I get off, I tend to get kind of grumpy or I get snappy and I'm like, why are you talking to me? I just want to be on my phone. And then once you realize that that's happening, then it's time to like really take a break and like just set your phone aside.
Refocus.
Yeah.
Gracie,
I think-
6 hours. Does your mood ever get affected?
Yeah, I was gonna say when it becomes like an obsession and you start checking it a lot. We learned about this thing called like phantom phone syndrome, when you think that you feel it buzzing and stuff, and I noticed that it becomes a problem when I'm focusing, like I'm watching my followers. Like the other day I lost 2 and I'm like, I lost 2 followers. Like that's a problem that I'm like that obsessed with that, you
Right.
know, and like it just becomes a problem when everything that I'm seeing is just making me feel bad.
Natalie, did you have some thoughts on when or how parents can help? Oh,
Again, yeah, just kind of asking about how social media is going. And I feel like maybe waiting a little bit longer before getting a phone and social media, like maybe waiting till early teens before giving social media, and then yeah, like 7th or 8th grade before a phone.
so my follow-up question is when something does happen. So you have somebody that posts something negative, or there is, really bad news and everybody is kind of getting sucked into it, or whatever, how can parents help? How can they get you to open up and understand what you're going through, and what can they do to help deal with that mental health potential issue?
So I think taking breaks is really important, because like I'll be on my phone for a couple hours and I don't even like think much of it, but my parents will be like, hey, you need to get off your phone. I'm like, take a break. And then it just kind of like makes me mad, because I feel like I haven't been on there for hours, but they've just seen me like sitting there for hours. And I think it's really important to take breaks and like refresh your mind.
I also think that parents can help by setting some boundaries for the kids, but also allowing them to have the freedom and the responsibility of handling the social media aspect.
Yeah, that's a little bit of what I was going to say. I was going to say, with no judgment surrounding the topic, I think that it would be a lot easier for parents to help their kids open up for more help about it. They could learn all that they can about the subject that's going on, and what's it called? Like direct their kids to block who or what is causing their problem, and like they said, limit your screen time. Like maybe there's ways that you can set little things on your kids' phones, and like obviously I think that when you get a little bit older, that's a little too much, but while they're still young, then that'd be a good thing to do. And just also encourage them to do other activities outside of being on their phone. Like I wrote yoga.
Yoga's a good activity. Natalie or Addie, you have thoughts on?
I don't know about anybody else, but I know a good way, at least for me, is that if my parents notice something's wrong, so acting irritable or annoyed for not really any good reason, going out for ice cream tends to open up most people that I've met. Taking them out for ice cream is a really good way to get them talking about feelings for some weird reason. So
I think parents just need to be like from early on, making sure that like their kids know that they can communicate with them and like that it's open, and then automatically that will like make especially like teens like probably open up more if they feel comfortable too.
Awesome. Thank you.
So one question I have, and this is something just kind of feeding off what Gracie has kind of shared, is do you find that gratification that you're getting from followers or from likes or just a feeling of belonging online, does that make it harder to feel the same way when you're around people who are telling you you're kind or you're smart or you're athletic or whatever they may be trying to help you see in you? Does it mean as much in person? Do any of you feel pressured to create content? Or I watched my kids do like forehead pictures for like 3 months. I didn't understand it at all, but it was a thing. How does this fit when we get kind of caught up in finding validation online?
I was just gonna say that like Yeah, for sure. I think that likes and stuff and followers is like you like, oh dang, they're pretty cool, they're pretty popular, and so it's like you do receive that like gratification, that self whatever from it. And so I just think that there's different ways that you can approach that. Like on Instagram, you can shut off the likes so you don't see the number, which I think is a really good thing. And it can just maybe like lessen the effect that those likes have on you. And like, yeah.
Well, and that's kind of my question is if you post something that you think is going to get a positive response, but you don't get the response you thought, does it pressure you to create something else to get even more responses?
I mean, personally, as like someone that lives in Wyoming, no, because I'm not an influencer. And so it's like, but I know that probably for real life influencers, for sure,
Right.
definitely.
Addie, do you have any comments?
I think that especially in person, it's really easy to know like, oh, if they're not here, obviously they're not going to talk to me. But if you're on social media and they're not responding to you, it's like, oh, they're not responding to me. What's going on? And there's like a lot surrounding that, because you can like, a lot of people are on their phone a lot of the time. And if they're not responding to you, then it definitely creates a lot of like negativity.
So it can create insecurity if you're not getting a response.
But yeah, 100%.
Gotcha.
I think we had a comment, a question in the chat that kind of follows on to that says, you know, if you're in your case, if you're not getting the responses, you're not getting the things that you want, or if you're running into these things that are really hard to ignore, you know, self-image kinds of things, lifestyle standards kinds of things, how do you protect yourself from those negative feelings? Because they come, whether we want them to or not. How do you protect yourself from that? What kinds of things do you do to deal with those?
I think you have to really remember that it's social media and it's not real life. Especially with beauty standards, there's so many people that they have gotten things done, or they even use Photoshop, and it's so easy to compare yourself. But you have to remember that they could have done whatever they wanted to what they're posting to make it look like they have the perfect body or the perfect life, and you just can't compare yourself because it's not real.
Okay.
Yeah, I was definitely just gonna say the same thing, because it's just there's a lot of like things that you can look at, and it's like side by sides of like how like easy it is to Photoshop your body or your face, and it's like it's like this is real, and then like this is not real, and it looks really real. And so it's just like you just have to remember how easy it is to speak those little things about yourself, and like that that.
But Natalie, you have thoughts on what you do to protect yourself from the crazy?
Yeah, just don't really look at them. Don't look at the comments. Don't ever read the comments. That is not a good idea if you want to keep your self-esteem. So just kind of avoiding that rather than focusing on it.
Okay. So I do have a question that is not on the list that you all got, but we spend with this group a lot of times talking about how what healthy relationships, friendships, interactions with the opposite sex or the same sex look like, and what it means to have a healthy relationship. My question for you is, how do you think social media and or your phone in general play a role in having a healthy relationship? What does a healthy relationship with social media look like for you? How do you use it in a positive way?
You can just really use social media to connect with people. And so like Oh, sorry. Is that what you were?
Oh,
gonna
no,
say?
no.
Sorry. Sorry, we all talked about this. This
Yeah,
is
no,
everyone's
sorry.
answer.
Yes.
Okay.
We to connect with people and like to have healthy relationships, like friendships and relationships. I feel like in person, like the video said, it's important to put your phone down and not try and like be on it as much because it can show like a disinterest in what you guys are talking about. But if you want to incorporate it healthily into a relationship, you can like text them on it and use it to communicate with them, FaceTime, call them. Those are all good ways to use your phone healthily in a like any kind of relationship, friendship, whatever. And then social media, like maybe you can post pictures of you guys together, but like if that is gonna like make you feel bad or something, don't do it. You don't have to. There's no pressure. It's kind of at least not for friendship relationships, but relationships, like keeping it a little more private rather than public will it can help, I guess.
I think making sure it's really easy to talk to people on social media and like through texting or through Snap because they don't see your face, they don't see your reaction, they don't see your emotions, they just see the words. And so making sure that you can talk to people in person and say the same things that you could over text is really important to keeping a healthy relationship because you can't always revolve around social media to communicate.
Yeah, that inability to show body language over social media or texting. I know I use a lot of sarcasm, and that can come across really negative in text with my friends because I use that and it sounds like I'm putting them down when I'm just kind of teasing.
Mhm. As a follow-up to that, the question is, how do you all feel about the location, Snap locations, instant locations, having those on, and how does it impact your relationships with the people that you're friends with online?
I'm not gonna lie, I be stalking my friends. I do stalk my friends' location just to make sure that they're safe and stuff. Like I think that Life 360 is good, but Snapchat is a little bit creepy. But that's why it's like I like the feature how you can set it just so you can only look at your friends' locations or only certain people can see your location because I know that I only have it set to my closest friends that I would want them to see my location. But I do stalk people's locations. So it's like you have to be careful with that because I know that I'm doing it. So maybe if you don't want someone creepy doing it, like keep it private.
It can be really helpful, I think, for parents to have like their kids. Like I know some parents have Snap and they basically use it as a Life 360, and that's kind of a cool feature.
And it's like maybe not even using Snapchat to track, but like Life 360 and stuff. You can see all sorts of different things. So it's like that's another important thing for going all the way back to when we were talking about what age you want your kids to have a phone. I guess you can really use your phone to track where your kids go. And so it's like if you want to track them that age.
Okay. Well, anybody else, Addie?
With like Snapchat, you can see how long ago they were on and like where they were. And that definitely like, I guess sometimes it's interesting, like, oh, this person was at school 15 minutes ago, but it's also like that person was on Snapchat 15 minutes ago and wasn't responding to me. So it can create a lot of negativity. But I think it's really interesting to see where your friends are and like who they're with. But it's also definitely like, I mean, you're sharing your location with people and they're sharing it with you. So there's obviously some sketchiness like surrounding that.
Potential.
And I was going to agree with Addie because also it's like if you see that they were active 2 minutes ago and they never texted you back, it'll make you feel bad. Or maybe you would see that all your friends are at one place and they didn't invite you, which would also make you feel bad. Or you would see that maybe your friend shut off their location from you, purposely trying to hide something from you or something. It can just make you assume and overthink a lot of things, which might not always be true, but always there's going to be that anxiety and stress that it does cause.
Natalie?
Yeah, I think honestly the location thing's a little bit creepy. For me personally, I want my friends to be able to trust that I'm not lying to them about something, and I want to be able to trust my friends that they're not lying to me about their location. without having to be able to just look and see like, oh, I know where they are. That's just a little bit weird, quite honestly. And I know it works really well for some people, but I know for me that would not work very well. I'd probably just turn it off, being really annoyed that they're trying to text me.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm gonna give each of you a chance to wrap it up, say anything you want to leave us with, things like that. But once again, I want to say thank you very much from all of us for being willing to chat. You can see in the chat that a lot of people are very appreciative of your willingness to tell us what you think and talk about this, because mental health is not an easy thing always to talk about. But so we'll go ahead and go around and let us know what's something you want us to know as we leave for the day.
I just wanted to say thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to speak on here.
Absolutely.
It was awesome. We are all good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for letting us speak openly about topics that sometimes don't get talked about enough.
Absolutely.
Indeed. Indeed.
Amazing young ladies. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
Hey,
Bye,
and you
Ryan.
got to
Bye.
be careful. I'm going to share one last thing with you.
Oh,
It's just because there's a bunch of research out there. But if I wanted to make you feel uncomfortable, all I had to do was start looking at my phone. And there's research out there that indicates that at least one of the three of you will need to feel or look at your phone to see if you got a message like I did. They're built that way. Right?
Yep.
And so we have to be careful. And if you find yourself feeling those compulsions and then ultimately struggling with your mood, not feeling well, please reach out to somebody, put it down, take a break, all those things that all this wisdom you have shared with us that your generation knows and understands, you have to use it. You really do. It's rough enough to live in a lot of parts of Wyoming. We have high issues with depression and anxiety and substance abuse, and we don't need life any more complicated for you guys. So if something's going on, bullying, whatever it is, please reach out to somebody you trust. All right. But it was an absolute pleasure to meet you ladies today.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For everybody online, Kelsey did drop both the YouTube clip again that Addie shared earlier, as well as a Survey Monkey. If you would take a few minutes to fill those out, we would be ever so grateful.
Yes, we will do that.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Bye.
you, everyone. I will be sending out a follow-up email to send any resources or YouTube clips that were shared today. As Brittany mentioned, if you have a minute to just give us some feedback, we'd greatly appreciate that. And then just to wrap up, Ryan, you kind of already shared, if you're worried about yourself or someone else, to look to get help. And we just we hope that you all sharing your own mental health challenges or your positive or negative viewpoints on social media encourages other youth to also be more open to share and not be worried about a stigma attached to it. So we really appreciate you all for taking the time to join us today. Thank you.
Thank you all.